Speaking, got my own, so bitch, don't play with me. Say what you mean or you'll be missing out this legacy. Daddy said go get 'em, girl, it's easy, too easy. Stunting on these bitches be too easy, too easy. Put it in my hand and I'ma do a Merlin. Off in traffic swerving. Every time he throw a pass, I'm down to feel Mike Irvin. If it ain't about that check, what you...
Herbs on a beat, 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 herbs on a beat.
I woke up like time ticking on my line, phone been blowing like a bagpipe, spin everything that I had, take it back right. Bodies in the home, everybody getting fat right. I keep it running, play me, I'm gunning. I'm about fun and the funk and it's nothing. You wanna talk, ain't no time for discussion. My hustle is nasty, outright disgusting. You keep the track.
It's your boy Big 8. Put It in the Air podcast coming straight to you live from Ziggy's. You know what time it is. You know what I'm saying? We finna get into this men's mental health. You know what I'm saying? There is a lot to talk about. I'm going to cover a certain spectrum of it to just kind of jog the conversation. But we're going to end up doing a part 2 about this anyway because it's just so much information to go over in 20, 30 minutes. So just bear with me. Let's rock out. You know what we do. We finna get into the ritual. You know what I'm saying? Got me a little disposable, little something sleek, something clean, no smoke. No, I mean not. It's definitely smoke, but no fragrance. Like it's good. Like I like them. You dig? Shouts out to Ziggy's, 59th and Western and 20th and MacArthur, man. Feel what I'm saying? No battery necessary. No charging necessary. Just hit that motherfucker. Bitches is strong, though. So if you're a lightweight, don't get the watermelon. I'm just saying. Stay away from the watermelon. That motherfucker kind of spicy. Anyway. So straight to the subject at hand. So we had an episode. Really didn't even have an episode. We created a clubhouse room. And we had some real in-depth conversation about relationships and why relationships work and why relationships don't. So the conclusion that I came up with the ladies and the gentlemen that I was having this conversation with, which is on Clubhouse. You can go listen to the replay. Put it in the air on Clubhouse too. You know what I'm saying? Put it in our podcast. So what I gathered from the conversation is a lot of blame on the men. Like it's easy. It's like the first thing a woman does is blames it on a man. You know what I'm saying? And the deflection that I got from the men it's not my fault. It was, so have you ever thought about this? Do you take this in consideration before you make the decision about a man? Or maybe things ain't all what they seem to be. Maybe it's more to it. Maybe something's wrong with him. Maybe the way that you responding to him is triggering him to act a certain way. Like it's a whole bunch of other questions that can be asked before you just instantly say, oh, it's his fault. Or it's this way because he did this. That shit ain't fair. So we ain't even gonna play that. Well, at least we're not gonna play that here. And you know, y'all willing to have y'all opinions about what I'm saying. Y'all willing to say whatever you want to say in the comments. That's all good. But I'm not finna say anything that don't make sense. So let's get that shit out the way right now. We're not even gonna do that. We're not gonna play like I'm up here protesting for the men, because that's really not what this is about. This is more about awareness for men and women that men do suffer from psychological issues. You know what I'm saying? You automatically, okay, say for instance, we know that there's a large amount of men raised by single mothers. We know this. Young men growing up having no guidance really but the mother in the home, having no disciplinary but the mother in the home, having no one to respect and to admire and to be taken care of by but the mother in the home, right? So we can agree on that. If we can't, understood. Move forward. So there's things that a woman can teach a man that a man can't teach. There are things that a man can teach a son that a woman can't teach. So going into adulthood, most men are already either over emotional or distraught when it comes to thinking about things in a certain way. They're more emotional than logical because that's what they have been raised up under. So, with this being said, that's why you got a lot of young, violent people. They're emotional. You know what I'm saying? When you react and respond to everything out of emotion, you are gonna have a sporadic, outrageous response because logically you find the fair medium, the best medium, something that you and the other person can deal with when you're thinking about something logically. When you're thinking about something emotionally, all you want is revenge. You know what I'm saying? It becomes a you did this to me, so I'm gonna do this to you, instead of a you did this to me, so instead of me doing this to you, I'm gonna go about it this way to where it doesn't affect me at all. And I don't have no long-term resentment about the situation at all. You know what I'm saying? That's kind of how most of your children out of wedlock, like your baby mama, baby daddy situations. A lot of them situations end up the way they do because there's a woman on the other side going above and beyond. You know what I'm saying? I'm a personal experiencer of this shit. Like, of course, co-parenting is exactly what it is, co-parenting. I do my part, you do your part. There is no our part anymore. And that's what a lot of people don't understand. There's not an our part. The child's birthday don't have to be celebrated together. We can celebrate separately. You know what I'm saying? Excuse me. That fucking pen be fucking me up. But yeah, you could celebrate separately and it still not have a negative impact on the child. You know what I'm saying? A lot of these situations deal with women's resentment because they either did or did want the baby, and the man decides he did or didn't want the baby. Um, so we all have sex. You can kind of cancel that out. Not saying it's right for everybody to just be having frivolous sex, but this is what the fuck is going on. So we're gonna keep it all the way a buck. You know what I'm saying? But to be 100% honest and logical, a woman cannot get pregnant by a man unless she makes herself available to that man. That's a fact. So, and only on the only exception would be in the case of rape, which we do not promote. Where rape is not the move. You know what I'm saying? That would be the only situation that would make this situation any different. So we look at society, we look at the world. There is a lot of single mothers. It is a woman's choice to decide to keep that baby and deal with the circumstances, or to not have that baby. Not saying I agree with abortion, not saying I'm against abortion. That ain't the conversation we having. I'm just stating the facts. So it's easy to conclude that women control the action of reproduction. Not saying that y'all the only one involved. All I'm saying is, if you're pregnant and you want it, you have it. It's not really a man's choice. So, given that most of these men are growing up in single parent homes without a father or without a mother, you know what I'm saying? Both situations psychologically affect you no matter how you look at it. You can grow up and be the strongest person that was ever strong in the world, but does it make you feel some type of way that you don't have a father or that you don't have a mother? Hell yeah. That's something that you always gonna have to deal with the burden of. You know what I'm saying? So I say all that to say this. it's easy to make conclusions about situations based on the conclusion. That's the safest way to play it. It's easy to make assumptions based on the conclusion. But to figure out why you got to that conclusion, you have to backtrack. You have to backtrack. You have to ask those questions that nobody asked. You have to understand the psychological situation that the person is going through. There's a lot of shit you got to take into account before you just make an assessment based off the conclusion. You see what I'm saying? Because there are situations where, of course, you got a girl, she made a mistake, she had sex with somebody, they ended up not working out or whatever. She wants to keep the baby. She keep the baby with resentment of the fact of the reason why they didn't work out. He really doesn't have an option in the beginning to say, I want to have the baby, because the court is going to automatically agree with the woman until you go through all the proceedings, which that shit's hard on kids. You know what I'm saying? All because two people can't just get along and make the decision. I'll do my part, you do your part. Me doing my part does not mean taking care of and disciplining and doing all this stuff for the kid when they're with you. That's not co-parenting. You know what I'm saying? That usually ends up in a confrontation, because a man cannot dictate how a woman runs her own house, just like a woman can't dictate how a man runs his own house. So if you're gonna do that, you need to do that like the way it's supposed to be. You do what you do when you're there. I do what I do when I'm here. Your business ain't my business unless it affects my child. That's it. Like, the world would be a completely different place. But I went somewhere else though. Like I'm saying, people are easy to make. It's easy to call a person a deadbeat daddy because they're not in their kid's life, without knowing why they're not in their kid's life. You see what I'm saying? So, given the streets, given society in general, you got police killing people. You know what I'm saying? Um, Especially for like melanated people, it's a little harder for us. And these are facts. We started off behind. You know what I'm saying? We're starting to get our bearings going and starting to become business owners and make the right steps now in 2022. But it's been a long road. There's been a lot of shit that's done happened to us as people, and that's men and women. Like, it was the thing to do to turn a black woman against a black man and on a slave plantation. You know what I'm saying? They wanted to keep the division. They wanted the structure of family to not be present in the melanated people's culture. You know what I'm saying? We've gotten past that, but that don't mean that there's not dysfunctions. That don't mean that you don't have young men who have identity problems. Most people join gangs because they feel like they by themselves. I know that's why I did. The only people that gave a damn about what I was going through at the time to me as a child was the gang. So that's what I gravitated to. I gravitated to the set. So after being from the set and understanding that that ain't family either, for the most part, I ended up gravitating away from that into what I do now, like trying to be successful, trying to figure out the right way to do things instead of only understanding the wrong way to do things. You know what I'm saying? So it's a lot of shit that men go through. Like, nobody's sitting down having conversations with these young gangbangers of why it's fulfilling for them to shoot at somebody else for absolutely no reason. You know what I'm saying? This shit ain't just, it's not just some crack sprinkled in the hood and then everybody go crazy. That ain't how this shit works. Like, we've been psychologically broke for a long time, and we're climbing up out of it. But it's just like, it's like taking medicine for acid reflux. Yeah, I got acid reflux. The medicine fix it, but it gives me another problem. That's the same situation that we're going through with the whole young men growing up, young women growing up in the society that we living in. Like, all of that shit mashed up in the same cake don't have a good taste to it. So instead of asking that little dude why he sag his pants and why he told a gun and why he feel like he not safe, why don't you ask him what kind of psychological issues is he having? Why don't you ask him what has he been through? You know what I'm saying? Because then it's easier to. That's why they say a lot of black people need therapy, because we suffer from shit that we ignore so much for survival. You know what I'm saying? Like we put more into survival than we do into how sound our mind is. And then once you finally step over that hurdle, and you do read a book or somebody do influence you to do something for the positive or to educate yourself, etc. You know, it's different then. But before that, it is what it is. Like, it took me to go to the penitentiary and come home to understand why my attitude was the way it was, why I felt like I felt about the world, um, just a lot of shit. Like, because sometimes leaning on your own problems, you don't figure out what your problems is. You got to hear that somebody else got the same problem, and then it becomes synonymous with you, and then that's the way you deal with it. You look at it different because you can see it on somebody else. It's hard to see shit on yourself. Pause. Yeah, not shit literally, but yeah, you know what I'm talking about. But anyway, like I said, this is part one. I pretty much wanted to get everybody's mind thinking along the lines of where I was thinking when I thought about doing something about men's mental health. Um, Man, I remember being that dude who fresh out the hood, no mama, no dad, everybody else living their own life, having to figure out what life was, having to figure out what's important in life. And I made my mistake early by thinking that I could give my life some meaning or definition by adding kids to it. That just made it complicated. But I didn't have nobody around at the time to say, hey, having a child right now might not be the best idea, bro. You know what I'm saying? Uh, you know, because my thing was I wanted to be a better father than the father that I had. That was the goal. I didn't think about all the other shit. I just thought about that I wanted to be a better pop than the pop that I had. And, you know, my pops went through what he went through. Like, my pops spent a lot of my life in the penitentiary. Um, and going to being in the penitentiary like that and going back to the penitentiary like that don't always mean that you're a bad person. Sometimes that means that you trying to figure out life the way that you know or the way that you think you know, and you doing it to the best of your ability. You just really don't know nothing else. And ain't nothing wrong with that. Admitting that it's a lot that I don't know pushed me into learning things that I do know now. You know what I'm saying? That's another mental health thing. We get so caught up in our pride, man, it becomes a psychological problem. You know what I'm saying? But I appreciate everybody for tapping into this episode. We do got Put It in the Air magazine dropping next month. Be tuned in. If you got a company, a business, or something, you want to do some advertising in the magazine, tap in with me at putitinair@gmail.com. That's THA, not THE. Make sure you put the THA, because if not, it won't come to me. But we also got the new wave of Put It in the Air shirts. You know what I'm saying? Make sure y'all tap in. We got all kind of colorways and different styles. And I ain't gonna lie, when I drop a wave of shirts, I normally do like 2 waves the same, and then after that we do something completely different. You know what I'm saying? But I got all colors and sizes, you know what I'm saying? Just tap in with me through that email, and we'll get it popping. Also, Put It in the Air podcast. I've been covering local events like crazy. I ain't gonna lie. Like, damn near everything that's been popping locally, that's popping, I've been pulling up. So I got some footage and some stuff for some shows and shit that I went to, and some video shoots that I tapped into and stuff, man. Good teamwork, people really grinding, everybody focused, everybody serious the way it should be, man. I ain't gonna lie, to see groups of people like I've been seeing working together for the common goal instead of everybody pulling each other's coat trying to bring the other one down. it's a beautiful thing, man. I think this Oklahoma scene that we're working with right now is going to be very, very, very impressive. I'm already impressed. Trust me, I work until 9 o'clock, get off work, go get some clothes on, boom, shoot out to wherever they at, get some footage, have some conversations, you know what I'm saying? Enjoy the show, all that type of shit. That's just kind of, if I do all that, yeah, it got to be for a reason because my time is super calculated. I'm a busy guy, super busy guy. But I love y'all, man. Appreciate you tapping into the podcast. Hit that notification bell. Hit that subscribe button. Hit that like on the video. Feel free to comment however you feel. Like I said, this is going to be part 1. And that was just to put a few thoughts in the air. You know what I'm saying? Because this is not going to be able to be accomplished in one motherfucking video. It's not. Because I'm gonna need to reciprocate back and forth with y'all. You know what I'm saying? I want it to be a conversation. I might do this live stream because they got it to where I can live stream straight from the channel. So, you know what I'm saying? Be looking for the live stream. We might even set it up. Have everybody in there. We chop it up. You know what I'm saying? Because information, man, this age is the most beautiful age when it comes to information because you can have a conversation anywhere. A person can be in New Bekistan and we could be having this same conversation. You know what I'm saying? And it'd be real time. So let's have this conversation. Let's make it lit. Put it in our podcast signing off. It's your
These hands being all mashed potato, you small fries. Pulling up in that red rooster, not the old one. I just got a new one. Steal something else from me, it ain't no telling what I might do to you. My burgundy flag not new to you. Your bitch like me, you rude to her. Better be worried about what I'm gonna get out of fuck with the round sound. Screaming out of egg though. I'm on the gas, bitch, always. Can't let a hater steal